Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Her in Between podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Jones, and I'm so happy to have you here with me today. Wow, we're at episode 5 and it's March. Crazy, crazy. This year is flying by. Like, I went on a walk today. I went on a very long walk today, and I saw all the trees like budding, flowers starting to come out the ground. Like, oh, nature honestly teaches us so much. It does. Like, you can learn so much by just looking outside, watching the seasons change, watching the leaves fall, watching them grow back again. Like, nature is such a great teacher, Lord. Like, when God created nature, he really snapped. He snapped. Like, ah. And I don't know if it's because I'm 30 and I start like thinking about everything like in a deep way. I feel like I did that in my 20s too. So, anyways, spring is coming. Spring is coming. Get your allergy meds because spring is coming. Currently, my ear is ringing. So we're gonna do this episode, but if I'm talking a little loud, it's because one of my ears is not cooperating. I really need to probably go to a specialist because this is my second. This ear infection isn't as bad as the last one, but my ear just doesn't feel normal, and I'm wondering if I need to go to the doctor. But that's not what you're here for. Um, as always, we're sipping something good. Today we are sipping hibiscus tea with orange juice in it. And yeah, I don't know why I wanted to do that combo today, but I didn't want to put any sweetener in my hibiscus tea, so I just added orange juice, and it's actually really, really good and sweet. It tastes like it's a healthy Hawaiian punch, to be honest. So, on the Her in Between podcast, we talk about everything and anything, but most importantly, our in between. We talk about that middle ground, that place before you arrive, that place between when you start and when you're trying to get there. That's kind of what we talk about. And so today I kind of want to talk about adulting. Like, and it's crazy because I am 30 years old, but I still find that adulting is still a thing. Like, I still find myself going hashtag adulting. And I guess when I was younger, I thought that maybe when I was 30, I was going to have so much figured out, which is crazy because the older I got, I realized how much I didn't know what I was doing and how much I needed to live a life of surrender and a life of, listen, we got to just take this day by day. Listen, I can't get too ahead of myself because life gone life. Like, I feel like as I gotten older, I released the need to know, which I love. But there's been a journey up until this point, and I kind of want to just share that with you. And yeah, we're just going to see where this episode goes. So, as always, we're going to start off with the definition of adulting. Just in case you don't know, we don't want anybody to be feeling left out or as like, I'm too old. I don't know. I never used the term adulting, or maybe you're too young. Anyways, we on the Her in Between podcast, we define things for you. So, this came from a random website. We are not going to a credible source this week. Adulting, the practice of behaving in a way characteristic of a responsible adult, especially the accomplishment of mundane but necessary tasks. I love the way that they define that. Like, that was a good definition. So now that we all know what adulting is, let's get into it. So, yeah, on this episode, I think I'm just going to share how I navigate the complexities of adulthood. And like I was sharing earlier, is like, I'm 30 and I still find it challenging to be a grown up. Sounds so childish to say, but I know a lot of people feel me. I think part of being an adult is realizing that you don't know anything. Well, you know some things, but part of being an adult is realizing you don't know everything and you don't need to know everything. And life gets easier when you accept that, hey, I got to take this thing day by day. I actually don't know what's going on, and that's okay. And a big part of being an adult is acknowledging to others that I don't know. Like when you know how to say that, oh, you're adulting. Because I feel like when I was younger, I didn't always say like, oh, I don't know. I felt like I had to come up with why I know, coming up with these excuses. But now, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, if you got these three things down that we're about to talk about, baby, hashtag get a jacket that says hashtag adulting. And if you don't walk in these three ways, that's okay because you know them now and it'll help you get to stepping, get to walking in that adulting hood. And let me start off by saying this too, like these are just three ways. Obviously there's other things, but these three things I've realized that like when I learned to adopt these ways of life, adulting got easier. So yeah, let's get into it. First one, embracing imperfection and self-discovery. Embracing your imperfections and being open to self-discovery is so important when it comes to adulting. We all have imperfections. Like, really, our imperfections are the very thing that kind of like bond us together. None of us have it all together. Um, None of us know all the answers. None of us get it right every time. And I think part of adulting is realizing that. And when you learn to accept that about yourself, you learn that to accept that about other people. You learn to accept that about other people. Um, and it just gets easier, man. Like, it gets easier when you learn that your flowers don't smell the best always. Somebody said that better. But if I was talking to younger Kellē, like 22-year-old Kellē, I would just tell her to like embrace all of her imperfections, um, and to not hide them. Because when you hide them, you're not as transparent and you're not authentic because you're so focused on hiding and trying to be something that you're not. And so I would say part of adulting is to stepping into it and saying, "Hey, I'm not perfect. Hey, I'm messy. Hey, I don't get this. Take me as I am." And when you do that for yourself, you learn to do that for other people, and your relationships get better. And so when people got quirks about them or they don't hit it on the head every time, you don't drop them. You don't judge them because once you can't really accept things about other people until you accept them about yourself. Some people may. I'm just sharing my philosophy on life, but I got to get it before I can get it about somebody else. Prior to my 30s, I'll say, is I made a lot of mistakes. Um, I know that a lot of us say that we don't have any regrets, but sometimes I've thought to myself, like, Kellē, we could have did that differently. But we didn't, and it's okay. But, if I did it differently, I wouldn't necessarily be mad. But I understand that if I go back into the past and change something, that changes my future. So that's like the only reason why I wouldn't do it because I enjoy my life right now. But anyways, I made a lot of mistakes. But I can genuinely say that I learned from a lot of them. And I'm not going to lie, I'm probably still learning from some of them. But my imperfections, my mistakes Those things where I'm like, yo, Kelly, why did you go down that path? Why did you try this? Why did you go to them? Like, I I can genuinely say that um, I learned from them. And not only did I learn from them, but I'm not afraid to talk about them, and I'm not afraid to share those things with you because I've embraced my imperfections. I've embraced my quirks and my mistakes. And I would say I think there's safety. I feel like I shared this in an episode before. Like there's safety in bringing up our past and our past mistakes because it's in the past, and we can talk from it in a present place where we're not there anymore. But part of adulting is also like when you're in the midst of it, sharing like, hey, I made a mistake. So I'm saying like part of adulting is as my 30-year-old self, me saying, actually, I missed the mark. I'm not perfect, and I'm sorry I hurt you. Um, I'm sorry that, you know, or just even to myself, like, hey, Kelly, we shouldn't have did that. Like, I'm still making mistakes to this day. I probably made a mistake a few hours ago or earlier today, because I was stuck on the computer all day. I know I said embracing our imperfections and the art of self-discovery. Self-discovery is important because as we grow up, we always have something trying to box us in. Even as a 30-year-old, I have something trying to box me in. And also, I have adopted certain beliefs, certain values that I maybe just felt like I had to, or I felt like I was told to by people that I respect, or maybe the work environment I was in. I've adopted these things, and um, I think that it's important to question them. I feel like you should question everything. And that may scare some people, but I feel like that's a part of being an adult is getting down to why you believe what you believe. And I know that scares some people, but if you're not doing that, then you might find yourself just doing things because you feel like you got to do them. You know, I remember somebody told me this. This is like kind of, I don't know if this is relatable or if this makes sense or even if this goes with this, but I remember this man, he basically told me that, like, why do you always feel the need to close your eyes when you pray? And um, he was like talking to our group, the group of people that I was with. And he was just like, I want you to know, like, you don't have to like close your eyes when you pray. I know that we make it seem like we have to, but if you want to pray with your eyes open, that's fine. And I hate how when we get in these environments, we always feel like the person who's wandering their eyes is the person that's not like focused. But maybe that's just how they want to do things. And like, that's just a small example, but yeah. Um, I remember growing up praying, and it was like you had to have your eyes bowed, your head bowed, eyes closed. That's it. But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, I feel like you should be praying when you're washing dishes. Does that make it any less? Or when we're holding hands in a circle, can I not look around? Maybe I focus better. Anyways, self discovery. Challenge your thoughts, challenge your beliefs, um, challenge them. And hey, that may go against everything you believe, because I know a lot of people have been taught to believe what you believe and don't ask questions. But part of being an adult is asking questions and getting to know who you are now, too. Because some of the things that you resonated with, you don't really resonate with anymore. Like my 23-year-old self versus my 30-year-old self, oh, we're not the same. And I think that's why it's always important for you to kind of like ask yourself questions. Hey, do I even like this anymore? Or do I really believe this? Or what do I do when no one's watching? Because that's really what I believe. So, yeah, embracing our imperfections and self discovery, key to being #adulting, the key to adulting. So, step into it. All right. Moving on to our next point, self compassion and resilience. When you got these two things down, oh, baby, you adulting. Listen, the more I live, I learned that life ain't no joke. And it's going to hit, and it's going to hit hard sometimes. And it's important for me to have self compassion for myself. And it's important for me to understand and believe that I am resilient. You're going to go through a lot of transitions. From my 20-year-old something self to my 30-year-old self, I have gone through so many transitions, and I know you have too. You probably have switched careers a whole bunch of times. You've probably dated so many people, broken up, got married, had a baby. So much happens in this decade from 20 to 30, like nobody's business. And you're going to walk through things that potentially could have taken you out. But if you're watching this podcast, it hasn't. And so it's important for you to have self-compassion for yourself and give yourself grace, because you're going to walk through some things. Nobody is exempt from that, especially not in this decade, that 20 to 30. Listen, so one thing I've had to learn is to show myself self-compassion, to have self-compassion for myself. That's something important, and not beat myself up all the time. Like, understand that, like, yeah, Kellē, like, you did it, you messed up. Or, yeah, Kellē, like, you lost that job, you got fired, but that doesn't mean that your life is incomplete. Part of self-compassion is understanding where your identity is. You can protect yourself by not placing your identity into things in this world. And I feel like we always talk about that, but I think that that's a really big part of adulting, is to realize that there's nothing in this world that defines me. Not my job, not how much money I have, not my the relationships I have, such as my friends or my spouse. None of that defines who I am. Because when that stuff is taken away and you have your identity in it, oh, you're going to fall straight on your face. And so that's why I say, like, part of adulting is realizing that I can have self-compassion for myself when things go wrong. I don't have to beat myself up, because when things go wrong, that doesn't define me, because my identity isn't in those things. And so your identity is in Jesus. Let's get to that too. I didn't get to that part, but yeah, your identity is in Christ. It is in Jesus. It's in the one who created you. And so I think it's important to show yourself grace when things don't go your way, when you lose the job, when you lose your house, when you have to go move back into your mom's, when you gain the weight back, when you lose the weight, when you cheat on the boyfriend, cheat on your spouse, even hurt somebody that you love. Like, yeah, you were in the wrong, but you can't beat yourself up about it. You need to learn from the things that you did, but you can't beat yourself up about it. The reason why you need to give yourself grace is because you got to come out of it, and you won't come out of it if you keep beating yourself up. So one thing I have had to learn to do is give myself grace and compassion. And when I fall, pick myself up and get on my feet and understand that, like, Kellē, there's nothing in this world that's going to take you out. Kellē, you can overcome anything. You know, things I tell myself is God is within you. So yeah, you're on the ground, and you tripped, you fell. But listen, Kellē, like, you're going to get back up. I have gotten back up from everything that has come for me. Every crazy situation that I put myself into, guess what? I've gotten back up from it. And I hold on to that. And I think about a lot of things that I've walked in, and I know that you have walked through some things too. And I'm not talking about just stuff that was done to you. I'm talking about things that have been done to you, but I'm also talking about things that you've done to yourself, where you deliberately made a decision where it's like, I shouldn't have did that afterwards, but you did it anyway. Um, and you rose above it. And so I think part of adulting is realizing that you are resilient. If you're still here, you're resilient. You're still standing. It's important to remind yourself that although I messed up, although I fail, it's not going to take me out. Um, and I know it's hard to believe that when you're in the midst of another struggle, but it's got to be a truth that you truly know. Um, I already talked about how I battle with anxiety, and one thing now is when I was younger, anxiety, I didn't believe that I would make it out. Like I didn't believe that I was gonna rise above it. I thought that that was just my life. I was gonna just be an anxiety ridden girl. That I wasn't gonna be able to live a normal life. But as I've grown, gotten help, healed, um, surrendered my worries to God, I do still have days where I am filled with anxiety. But the difference is I know that this isn't my identity and I'm going to rise above it. And knowing that, it makes it easier to get out of it. I don't know. I've just learned, I don't know, I'm only 30, but I've just learned that I'm going to make it through. And so are you. So have some compassion for yourself. You don't have to be perfect at all. Ugh, my camera's about to die. Before my camera dies, let's get into talking point 3, which is the last talking point, and that's self-care and boundaries. You know you are adulting when you develop a self-care routine and boundaries. There's not really much for me to add on to that. We always talk about work-life balance. It's important to take care of yourself. Nobody is going to do that for you. You might have friends that do text you or call you like, hey girl, like, when's the last time you went and got your nails done? Or they send you a Starbucks gift card or something like that. But at the end of the day, it's on you to take care of yourself. I was literally having this conversation with my mom where I was like, you you are my parent, but I have to parent myself. And I was frustrated. It was basically me having a battle with work-life balance. And I was just talking to her and I was just like, I've got to learn to take care of myself on my own. And when I say take care of myself, I don't mean paying my bills or things like that. I mean, I've got to make sure that I'm okay. Um, I've got to detangle my hair instead of throwing it in a bun all the time. I've got to take Thursday nights to maybe um, do a full body shaving, moisturizing, exfoliating thing. Like I have to do these things for myself. I have to take the time out to turn the TV off and read a book instead of scrolling. I've got to do those things. And so I, oh, my, my camera died. So that's okay. We're still going to record. Okay. Hey, I'm back. My camera died, so we're just going to continue the episode because, listen, part of adulting is continuing the show. The show must go on. Yeah, that's a big part of adulting. The show must go on. So, yeah, my camera died. I could stop the whole podcast, but Why? Just close your eyes if you're watching on YouTube and pretend you see me. Or just go back. Actually, no. Yeah, just pretend you see me. Maybe I'll put up a photo of me while I'm talking instead. And this is a prime example. My younger self would have flipped out about my camera dying. I would have felt like I had to just stop the whole show, not post this week because this is my only time to record. And it just would have been a whole thing. But now I'm adulting, so like we're just going to roll with it. Anyways, what was I talking about? The importance of prioritizing self-care and setting healthy boundaries. Um, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was sharing this story about like talking to my mom and how like she is my parent, but I have to parent myself. I have to make sure that I'm doing the things in life that not only bring me joy, but also just make my life a little bit easier. And so self-care, I've got to treat myself. I've got to do my laundry so I can have clean underwear and not have to uh, wear the period panties when I don't want to wear them. Um, it's just so important to take care of yourself so you don't burn out. Like, my mom is not checking in, parenting me to make sure I don't burn out. I have to do that. And so, yeah, prioritizing self care. Listen, if you want to adult hard and heavy, please prioritize self care. Second part of this is boundaries. Listen, at my big age, boundaries is my favorite word. Boundaries. Boundaries. Sorry, I can't. I used to be such a yes girl. Yo, I used to say yes to everything. And I used to not know how to tell people no. Part of adulting is learning how to say no. It's not avoiding it, but just saying straight up no. And obviously, you can follow up with a no. I just don't feel comfortable with that. But also, you can sometimes just say no. But developing those boundaries, it's important. You got to do what's best for you in your life. And that's not to say you're going to live a selfish life. And boundaries, honestly, they help. By me establishing boundaries, I feel like I have the healthiest relationships I've ever had in my life. Like my 20s, oh man, I had some unhealthy relationships because I had no boundaries. I was picking up the phone all times of the night. If somebody needed me to be somewhere, I would need to be there. Um, I would allow certain people to speak things into my life because there was an open door. But now, like, no, I've got a boundary up. And people learn to respect you more when you have boundaries. So, yeah, big part of adulting is prioritizing self care and boundaries. So, yeah, um, like I said, I felt like this was going to be a short episode. Kind of just wanted to share 3 ways that you can step into your adulting era. And you're never too old to begin this. And we're striving for, and I also want to add that we're not striving for perfection here. Like, we are imperfect people. And so what we're striving for is um, effort. And we just want to work at this every day because that's what Her in Between is about. It's not about arriving, it's about our everyday. And yeah, so these are just 3 ways that I think really indicate whether you're adulting. And 3 ways, if you're interested in adulting, that you can um, adopt in your life. All right, so let's review what we discussed. If you want to get into your adulting bag, first way we said was you got to embrace your imperfections and the art of self-discovery. 2, cultivate self-compassion and resilience. And 3, prioritize self-care and boundaries. And obviously there's a billion more ways, but these are just the 3 that I wanted to share with you. Maybe we'll share some other ways another time. But that's all I got for today. I love y'all. Thank you guys for joining episode 5. Um, I'm just so grateful to have you here. And if you've taken the time to listen to anything I've said, it just means so much to me. All right. Y'all have a good one. Love you. Bye.